Hi guys, happy Tuesday or whenever you are catching this. I'm so excited to have you here. If you're jumping on live, please say hello. If you're catching the replay, give me a hashtag replay it. Let me know if it resonated. Let me know how the training is for you guys. If you guys have questions as we move forward, this is going to be a pretty edgy training. So please speak up. Please ask your questions. I'm really freaking excited to get into today's topic. It's so important. I think literally every single person on the planet can resonate with this. It runs so deep in so many of our lives, and I'm so excited to bring awareness to it and hopefully help you guys. I hope it resonates, and I hope it can be implemented in your own life to allow for some healthy, positive changes. So, what we're going to talk about today is self-sabotage. Self-sabotaging behaviors, what it is, why we do it, and how we can break away from that self-sabotage. Okay? And I think that I personally struggled with this for so long. I still do. It's still very much a part of my life. And it sucks. It really sucks. It's one of the biggest things that I think so many people, we do a lot of healing work. We heal the traumas. We do the inner child and the shadow work if you're into the reprogramming work. And it's amazing. And then it kind of all comes down, though, to self-sabotage. And it's because these patterns, this self-sabotaging behavior runs so deep. It's so deeply ingrained in all of us, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to cover a few things, but let's start off by covering what is self-sabotage. So, hi, Gav. Mwah. So what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is when we have opposing forces coming from our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, okay? So we have our conscious, which is who you are when you're making your decisions. Like, you are the one in control. You are operating out of what you want to do. You feel like you're in the driver's seat, right? That's your conscious mind. And then we have our subconscious, which is all of our patterns, all of our conditioning, all of everything that's going on below the surface. In your subconscious programming rules your life. We're going to get into this, but your subconscious mind is the unconscious patterns that kind of just happen. Like when you're driving home from work, you're not consciously, you should be consciously paying attention, but for the most part, you know the route, you know where you're going, it's just happening. So what happens with self-sabotage is consciously, you want to make a change. Consciously, you want to get in better shape. Consciously, you want to have a healthy relationship with your partner. You want to find a career that's fulfilling, and that's amazing. Consciously. But subconsciously, which once again is just the root of all of your patterns, it's the culmination of all of your conditions, it's a very easy pattern. Subconsciously, if that conscious belief, that conscious goal doesn't fit into the framework of the subconscious mind, it won't flow. They're going to butt heads. And what happens in our life is we can have a million beliefs floating around up here, and we do. However, only one of them can actually manifest into fruition. And that is because whatever one is the strongest is going to take hold. And if there are two contradicting beliefs they're not the same, they're complete opposites, only one of them can take hold. And the one that's going to win is going to be the subconscious belief, because the subconscious mind rules your entire life. Whether you bring awareness to it or not, it is in control until you do the reprogramming. And that's because it's been that way for so long. From the ages of 0 to 7, it was formed. So ever since you were 7 years old, sometimes it goes up to 14, but even then, 14 years old, so the past 20 plus years of your life, you've been operating out of this set of unconscious patterns. You've been operating out of the subconscious mind. That's what's going to win, because those patterns are so deeply ingrained in you. And that is why the work, you can't skip this step. You can't willpower your way. You can't discipline and motivate yourself into a new identity if you haven't done the subconscious reprogramming. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So that's what self-sabotage is. It's those opposing forces between your conscious mind really wanting something and your subconscious being like, nope, doesn't fit within my identity, so it's not going to work. Okay? So now let's talk more about the subconscious mind and the ego. Because these, like I was just saying, it's really what's ruling your life. It's what's controlling everything that's going on. So it's really important to understand them, especially in terms of self-sabotage, because that's what's coming up. So I kind of explained a little bit of your subconscious mind. And just to reiterate, It is the culmination of all of the patterns, the beliefs, the conditioning that you have picked up along your beautiful adventure here on earth. And it's mostly formed by the time you're 7 years old. So for the ages of 0 to 7, that is when we are forming that subconscious mind. We are a sponge. We are picking up every single thing that our parents say, or our caretakers, whoever raised you, whatever their beliefs are, those are deeply rooted in here, whether you like it or not. If your parents walked around saying money doesn't grow on trees, guess what? I bet you had a hard time getting money in your life, right? Same thing. Relationships are evil. Women are the devil. Like healthy relationships aren't a thing. If you always watched your parents fight, I bet when you grew up, it was harder for you to have a healthy relationship, right? That's just how the subconscious mind works. So anyway, that's what's going on under the surface. Consciously, you're sitting here talking like me. I'm excited about my life. I'm excited about this training. Consciously, I feel amazing. But if I hadn't done the reprogramming work, my subconscious mind would immediately watch this live and say, you're a piece of shit. You look like shit today. You don't deserve to do your own live training. Blah, 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 blah. Right? It's all your unconscious programming. The ego, and this is just my belief, how I interpret things. Once again, everything you pick up is how you're going to interpret it. The ego, to me, is the extension of that subconscious mind as an identity. So when I say subconscious mind, it's very easy to just think of the brain and think about it going on up here in the mind, right? When I say your subconscious. But when I say ego, to me, I actually picture like another physical human being, another Casey. I mean, it's because it's not me, but just another identity that has all of those beliefs. So I take all of that subconscious programming, all those patterns, all those conditions, all those limiting beliefs, and I form it into a human, and that's my ego. That's who's sitting in front of me. That's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. The angel's your highest self. The devil is your ego. I don't even like to say devil, but it's your ego, right? It's the part of you that immediately judges somebody for saying something, or, oh my God, she's wearing that, like, and then you gossip. That's your ego. Or, oh my God, like when you hear people say, oh, he's got a big ego, he's narcissistic, oh, look at him in his big truck. That's his ego playing out his unconscious patterns. So I think a lot of people are more familiar with ego versus subconscious mind, which is kind of why I wanted to break them down like that. So that's how I explain it. So for when these things come up, that's why I want to explain the ego and the subconscious mind. So anyway, we understand what those are. And now let's get into why they matter with self-sabotage. So the reason I want to talk about self-sabotage is because I think a lot of us, first of all, I know everybody can relate. The enemy, I hate saying devil too. The enemy, there you go, that's a good one. Except we don't want to think of it as an enemy either, and I'll go into why. So anytime you have goals, anytime you have a vision of what you want your life to look like, right? You want to get in shape. You want to have a healthy relationship and like heal your traumas. You want to find a fulfilling career. You want to move to Hawaii. You want to do XYZ, right? Anytime you have goals, you're operating as the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is excited. The conscious mind is the one who gets your pen, you write down your goals, you make your beautiful vision board, and it's amazing. And then what happens a couple weeks later, a couple days later, depending on how much you've, tried to heal your subconscious or tried to heal your self-sabotage and your limiting beliefs, the little voice comes in your head and says, you're not worthy of that. Why do you think you could have a healthy relationship? Why do you ever think that you could lose weight and be in shape and have a healthy body? Your self-sabotage is going to come into play. And I think it's really important to talk about this, and I can't remember if I already said this, but willpower, motivation, and discipline will only get you so far. Because until you address the root subconscious programming that's going on, your conscious mind can't have that much power over your subconscious. Not that it can't. I don't like to use absolutes, but it's very rare. And it's so much easier to instead just go back to the root and reprogram it versus butting heads with it 24/7 and trying to will your way through it. And I feel like it's a whole nother can of worms. Like I feel like in my industry, especially the self-help, everybody, is focusing on doing the things and willpower and grinding 24/7 and you gotta blah, blah, blah. Like whatever, that's my own projection. So anyway, that's my ego. So let's get into it. I'm going to use an example that I think everybody can relate to, and it's my own personal story. So I tell in stories. That's how I teach. And I think it resonates. So let's talk about self-sabotage in terms of wanting to get healthy, get in shape. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to, heal your body, whatever it is, right? You set out and you have your goals. And this is something that I have struggled with for 15 years of my life, ever since my senior year in high school. I always struggled with my weight, my body image, my self-esteem, binge eating disorder, all of the things centered around my appearance, my weight, etc., right? So, and I cannot tell you, and this is why I want to use this example, because think about all the people on New Year's, right? Everybody has a New Year's resolution to get healthy, to get in shape, to heal their bodies. And it's amazing. And then what does everybody do? They do the action. They get the gym membership. They buy the healthy food. They meal prep. They buy the sneakers and the cute gym outfits. And that's exciting. Like, I'm getting hyped up. My conscious mind loves that, right? But what happens 2 weeks later? The gym is empty. And why? Because when you make a goal consciously, you make a goal, you're excited about it, you want to lose 20 pounds. If that goal does not fit into the structure that your subconscious mind is built on, that your ego has created for you, it will not happen. Because your subconscious does not believe it's a possibility for you, and it doesn't fit the framework of what you've built in your subconscious mind. It's not coherent with your identity that you've created at that subconscious level. So if it doesn't fit, it's like trying to fit, what do they say, a square peg into a round hole, or whatever the saying is. It can't fit. They cannot coexist because your subconscious doesn't believe it's possible. So that is why, that's the explanation behind why it's not happening for you. When you set a goal, I've been talking about your glow up. I've been talking about my own glow up lately. When you set a goal consciously, it's amazing and it feels good. But if you haven't done the reprogramming, the deep healing and integration work, it can't happen. And once again, I don't want to say can't. It's really hard to make that happen because you don't believe it's possible. And your subconscious mind, guys, rules your life. Okay? Very important to understand. Your subconscious is in control here. So what we have to do is go back to the root. So that's the first part of why we self-sabotage. I kind of just flew right into that, but I want to make that clear and reiterate this point. When you set a goal, if that goal does not fit into the subconscious framework that you have created, it will not be able to happen. Because for the last 20 plus years of your life, your subconscious has run on a set of programs, unconscious patterns that are just going on without you even knowing. They're automatic. And if you come in consciously bopping around like, ooh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, or ooh, I'm going to get in a healthy relationship and not self-sabotage my boyfriend and blah, 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 that's great at a conscious level. But until you make your subconscious believe it and love on it, it's not going to happen. Okay? So that is the first why. Like, I want to explain this and break this down for you guys so that you understand that it's not your fault consciously that you're self-sabotaging. It's not your fault. We all do it. I mean, all I say, unless you've done the work, unless you've done the subconscious programming or reprogramming, it's what's going to happen. It's not your fault. You're not broken. You're not wrong. You got to stop judging yourself. It happens because of what I just explained. Okay. So that's the first reason, the why, I guess, behind the self-sabotage. Okay. And now I want to get into the second one, which I've been really exploring in my life lately. And it's crazy how powerful this stuff is, you guys. So in terms of the second reason why, so I explained our subconscious mind, I explained the ego, and it's built on this false identity. It's a false structure, a false sense of self. It is created as a defense mechanism. It is created as a safety mechanism. It is formed based on your traumas, based on everything you've experienced. It's created this, I keep doing this, but it's just the structure, the infrastructure of your subconscious mind is built, but it's false. It's not real, right? You can't touch it. We can only touch the things that we can consciously see. But your subconscious is clinging to it because that's its lifeline, right? That's how it's surviving. And it's surviving because you're living in these patterns. The only reason it's still having power over you is because you're feeding it. Every time you do something that fits within your subconscious programming, you're feeding that programming, you're feeding that pattern. It's going to continue to take hold. Is this making sense? So, but it's a false sense. It's not a real structure, right? You can't see it. You can't touch your subconscious mind. So, but it clings to it. And the ego, once again, is the identity of that subconscious mind, the extension of it. And so the ego is going to be built on this false sense of self. And the ego operates out of shame, out of all your conditioning. But what it needs most is safety. And anything that threatens its safety, and when I say safety, I mean the upholding of this false sense of self. Like, it exists, all your judgments, all your shames, all your, the narcissistic behavior, like all of that only exists because we're perpetuating it. It's not real, okay? But the ego clings to it, and the ego thinks it's in control. The ego thinks it's real. It thinks it has power. It thinks that it is in control, what I just said, right? So anything that comes in, to threaten the ego's plan for life is immediately going to be a no. Big red X. As soon as you do something, you set out a goal to lose weight, you want to have a healthy relationship, blah, 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 right? As soon as you do something that doesn't fit within the ego, or it threatens its sense of self, which of course anything that isn't in identification with that is going to threaten the ego, it immediately jumps in and is going to say, fuck this, not safe, I don't like it. And the part I want to highlight here is that there's a potential for failure. And failure to the ego is death. That means it didn't protect you. That means it didn't survive. It didn't do its one job of keeping you safe, keeping you in this comfort zone, keeping you where you're at in life. That's the ego's goal, to keep you safe. Okay, it's annoying, but it really is to keep you safe. It's a defense mechanism that our subconscious minds have created. So anything that comes in that is a potential for letdown, a potential for failure, your ego is going to be like, I'm not doing that because I'm going to fail. So why would I ever put myself in the position where I can fail? That's not safe. That doesn't feel good. So when even something like losing weight, even though, yes, we can fail, that scares the shit out of the ego, because the process of you going through and eating healthy and feeling good, that's threatening, first of all, the ego's sense of self. It's threatening its identity. It's scared it's going to get pushed under the rug, but it's also scary to it. It's like, oh my God, people are going to judge her. People are going to see her in the gym. People are going to see that she's going to fail, because your ego believes it's going to fail because of, based on your subconscious programming. But for the most part, it believes it's going to fail. So it's like, I can't do this. This isn't safe. They're going to see her fail. She's on her Instagram talking right now. What the hell? That's, my commentation of my ego. And so it does everything in its power to keep you safe. And what is that? That's self-sabotage. That is the eating the junk food at night when you're trying to be healthier on your goals. And when I say this self-sabotaging behavior, there's a big difference in consciously doing these things, choosing to, I'm craving ice cream and it's going to feel really good to me, so I'm going to eat it. That's a conscious pattern. That's a conscious behavior. The unconscious pattern is you laying in bed, you've already ate 3 meals, or like you ate a huge dinner, you're not hungry, your stomach does not want food, and your ego is like, okay, go get the ice cream. Go, you need to eat that. Or you text your boyfriend this toxic message, play games with him, fuck with his head because you don't deserve to be in a relationship at a subconscious level, right? Your ego is the one who's constantly trying to pull you back to its little false sense of self, its little structure, its little safety zone, okay? So that's why it's happening. Those 2 points, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it's just, once I understood these, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it all wrong forever, because I was the person who, I was the New Year resolutioner in terms of wanting to lose weight for the past 15 years of my life. Every single time I wanted to lose weight, I would get the gym membership, I'd write my workouts. Hell, I was a personal trainer for so long, I still am. And I knew what to do. I knew everything to do, and I would get excited about it, and I would buy outfits that made me feel good and like buy the gym shoes and blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, I'm back feeling like a piece of shit because my ego, first of all, being healthy didn't fit within my subconscious framework, and my ego, all it said was, you've failed every single time in the past. You've never been able to lose the weight before, so why do you think you're any different now? So of course, the self-sabotaging behavior comes up. It doesn't feel good to go to the gym today. Like, you can just stay in bed and watch Netflix and, eat the ice cream or eat the whatever. And once again, I have to make this distinction because you can eat ice cream. You can skip the gym. But it's all about the intention that behind it. Is it a subconscious pattern or is it a conscious decision? Okay, I just want to make that clear. So that is the what and the why behind self-sabotage. Are we still with me? Is this making sense to you guys? Do we have questions before I move forward? Woo! That was a lot. I love this shit, you guys, because I struggled with it, and I still do. Trust me, I'm not completely integrated, but I struggled with it for so long, and I couldn't figure out why, because I was raised, my dad, old school, like, suck it up, tough, like, you can do it, set the goals. And I love that. And consciously, yes, like I'm on board with that, but it wasn't working. And I felt wrong for it. I felt like, why isn't this happening for me? Like it wasn't working. And I felt broken and I felt wrong. And I want to say it to anybody who's going through this, anybody who's struggling, anybody who feels like, well, she can do it. Why can't I do it? It's not your fault. It's your subconscious programming. And instead of fighting an uphill battle, I'm going to teach you how to nip it in the bud. Not nip it in the bud. I don't want to say that. I'm going to teach you how to reprogram, okay? So, how to stop the self-sabotage. How do we make friends with it? How do we integrate it? Here we go. Second half of the training. Let's bring it home. So, like I explained, we have our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind lives on these set of unconscious patterns. And I have so many, I don't want to go too deep. I have so many trainings on this stuff if you guys want to go learn about it. But basically, the patterns that are running in your mind have functioned for so long and it's just easy for them. Think about walking in the snow, deep packing snow. Is it easier to walk in the footsteps of somebody behind you? Or do you want to have to trudge through and make a new path? Like, what is easier? The path of least resistance. That's exactly what's happening in your brain, your subconscious mind, the little patterns, the little neurons and all the, I don't even know what they're called, synapses, all that shit that's going on in your brain. It's easier for the same patterns to just run. It's easier for the sparks to fly and the patterns that have existed for so long. So that's what it's going to do. Those subconscious patterns are so deeply rooted that we not only have to break the patterns, but we have to form new ones if we want to implement a new habit, okay? I think that's why they say, 21 days to make a habit? Because it's not just like your mind and willpower. It's like on a scientific level, your brain having to adapt to these changes. So my first step here, and I'm not going to give all of my tips and tricks away because this is what my new program is based on, GLOW, achieving your glow up, making your goals finally happen for you. That's all my new program is on, but it's in a different approach where I actually teach you where we need to start. We need to start with the subconscious reprogramming. We need to start with the witness consciousness and the self-awareness. And that's what I teach. I'm going to give you guys a couple steps today. But if this is you, if you are someone who has struggled forever in reaching your goals or making your glow up happen, if you want it to happen, once again, if you're happy with your life, this is not for you. It's okay. Like, I'm glad. I'm so happy that you love your life. This is for you if you're sick of freaking giving up on your goals, if you're sick of settling for a life that doesn't fulfill you, if you want to have something and actually make it happen, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm teaching. This is what my program is on. I'm here for you. So let's get into it. Number one step into starting the process of breaking the self-sabotage is to bring light to these patterns, bring awareness to what's going on. So many of us, and I can't give a percentage, but I would reckon 85% of people are walking around as a giant subconscious pattern. Very few people are consciously making decisions in their life, and maybe they're making conscious decisions, but they aren't aware of their subconscious patterns. They don't have that level of self-awareness yet where they can be laying in bed at 10 p.m., the voice comes on that wants ice cream, and they can say, wait a second, where is this voice coming from? That's not me. This is the explanation of witness consciousness. If you guys haven't heard of this before, basically think about you are, it's so hard for me to explain. You're not your mind. You are the soul that's inside of this physical body, and then there's thoughts that we have, but those thoughts, think about them as like flying by, right? I want ice cream. That's a thought flying by. Or I'm going to text him and screw up our relationship. That's just a thought. Okay? It's not you. You are the witness of everything that's going on up here, right? But because that's a pattern, this is my pattern. Because it's a pattern in your life, you cling to it. So as soon as the send him that toxic text starts to float on by, you're like, yep, that's my identity. That's my subconscious mind. That's who I am. So you attach to it. Witness consciousness is having the awareness to take a step back and say, oh, that's not me. That thought came from an old pattern that's going on deep down there because I've done it since I was whatever age, but it's not who I am. And I don't have to attach to it. I don't have to act on it. That is what witness consciousness is. That is what my first step for you guys is. If you take away anything from this, it's to start to have an extreme level of self-awareness. You have to. You have to start making every single decision, or at least questioning every decision and saying, where is this coming from? Is this in alignment with my goals? Or is this an old pattern that's just acting because it's done it for so long, right? You have to have, if you want to reach your goals, if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind, the first step is having an extreme level of self-awareness. So to do this, you can practice this every single second of the day. Every time a conversation happens, are you triggered? Are you falling back into an old pattern because somebody said something that set you off? When you're making the decision to sit down and eat your dinner, is that thought coming from an old pattern that says, let's binge eat tonight? Or is that thought coming from a conscious awareness like, you know what would taste so good? It would nourish my body. Do you guys see the difference? It's bringing awareness to every single move you make. Do you want to make it as your authentic highest self, or do you want to let those old programs run? Okay? So now the second half of this, the first step is watching those thoughts, right? Okay, Casey, old ways, had binge eating disorder. She'd be laying in bed so full that she was sick, but her brain, this thought, go get the ice cream, go get the Doritos, go eat another meal. So that comes in. Instead of operating on it, we're just watching it. That's witness consciousness. That's step one. Second step is, what happens if we act on it? If you still act on the pattern, if you still see that thought, you grab it, you make it your own, at least you watched it come in. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say here? There's a difference between watching the thought and then just like acting on the thought when it comes up without seeing it. I hope this is making sense. There's a difference between I see it, I'm going to act on it. And then there's just a difference between it coming in and you just like, it's just happening. You're not even aware of it. You're just acting on it. So this is the part I want to explain because you're still going to act on a lot of these subconscious patterns because willpower doesn't really do much for you unless you're David Goggins. So when that thought comes in, if you act on it, for me, if I did the binging, if I went down and got the ice cream or the Doritos, right? At least I was aware of it. I saw the thought, and yes, I'm still acting out old patterns. That's not healthy behavior, but at least you saw it, okay? So step one is forming that self-awareness. Step two, do not judge yourself. Stop kicking yourself while you're down. Stop shaming yourself for having these thoughts. Stop shaming the patterns. Stop treating yourself like shit when these things are coming up. Think about a little kid. A little kid in a tantrum can't calm them down because they did something wrong and they feel really bad about it, right? And they feel shitty. It doesn't feel good. They're screaming because they're getting their emotions out. Are you going to look at them and say, you're a piece of shit, you shouldn't have done that, why'd you do that? I mean, yes, some parents do that, a whole nother can of worms, but you right now in this moment, are you going to look at them and be like, you fucking idiot, why did you do that? No, you're going to take them and you're going to hug them and you're going to love them and you're going to make them feel safe and accepted. So why would you treat yourself any different? Why are you loving on this little kid, but to yourself, you're not doing the same? Why? Because your subconscious mind, because we're mean to ourselves, because it's our ego game, right? So my challenge for you is to, instead of judging yourself, how can you see that thought and if you act on it, how can you love on that version of you? Here comes the thought. It's time to binge eat. Okay, Casey, she walks down to the fridge. I get the ice cream. Instead of marinating in your self-pity, your self-hate, that victim mentality, how can you say, okay, this is an old pattern. I gave in, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to consciously work through this. I'm going to do the healing work and just love on yourself. Make that version of you feel safe. This is the basis of shadow work, guys. We have to figure out how we can make these parts of us feel safe because they can't heal until they feel safe and seen and accepted. Is this making sense? I'm kind of going on a rant here. What I want to leave you guys with is the first step in combating self-sabotage is to, first of all, bring awareness to the patterns. Witness consciousness. Practice it. Every single second of the day. Right now, we're watching this training. What are you going to do after this? I'm asking you, answer that for me right now. Consciously start to make decisions in your life. Oh, thank you. I'm glad it's making perfect sense. Thank you for the feedback. What are you doing after this? Stop letting your subconscious patterns rule your life. If you need help with this self-awareness, if you need tips and tricks, message me. I will help you. But there's really not anything to it. I think sometimes we try to make bigger deals out of things than they are. But no, it's every single decision. Me picking up this water. Is this in alignment with my goals? Is this going to make me feel better? Me, whatever I'm doing throughout the day. Bring self-awareness and start to pay attention to the thoughts that are coming in and stop attaching yourself to them. When they come in, I got to go through the drive-thru at McDonald's or I'm going to stop because I'm just going in circles here. But stop, Gav, unfortunately. Oh, you stayed on the whole time? Thank you, honey. I love you. It's bringing self-awareness to acting in witness consciousness, okay? So that's the first step. Second step, do not judge yourself when these thoughts come in. Do not judge yourself for falling back into old patterns. How can you instead love on that version of you? Okay? So that's what I want to leave you guys with. There is so much more that goes into this. It's not just self-awareness, which it's an amazing first step, and it is the hardest step. If you can get through the self-awareness, if you can start acting as the witness consciousness, amazing. That's the first step. And it's the hardest one. But there is so many more things that we have to follow it up with. We can't just rely on that self-awareness and still continue to, remember, we're attaching ourselves to those patterns. If we do it, we have to start to break those patterns. And that's what I am teaching. That is what my work is based on. That is what I am doing in my newest program, Glow. Glow is starting in 2 weeks, August 1st. I think that's 2 weeks still. And I'm going to be going so much deeper into everything I just talked about today, but more on the follow-up. Why you set goals and you fail. I'm going to teach you how to make the goals in a way that helps your subconscious mind, that makes your ego feel safe. We're going to talk about grounding and anchoring them in. We're going to talk about how to truly ditch the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, the limiting beliefs. We're going to take all of that mind, all of that shit that's going on up here, and I'm going to teach you how to integrate it versus shaming it versus trying to cut it out of your life. We're going to learn how to coexist so that you can make your goals happen. If you want to change your life, if you want to get in better shape, so physically, financially, say you want more money, emotionally, how are you acting in your life? Are your emotions, do you not have control over them? Intellectually, do you want to learn more? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to find something that fascinates you? Career-wise, do you want to find a career that fulfills you? Relationship-wise, are you sick of getting into toxic relationships? Are you sick of fighting with your partner? Whatever you want for your life, it's possible for you. You just have to be willing to bring the level of awareness. We have to start at the subconscious mind. And I'm getting so carried away because this shit lights me up. If you guys want something, it is possible for you. I promise. Let me be a testament to this, healing all of these things that have come up in my own life. And once again, it's still happening. It's still a work in progress. But I am such a different person than I was when I let these unconscious behaviors rule my life. So if you want more info, that's what I'm going to leave you with. Glow is launching August 1st. You can go to the link in my bio or CaseyRoseCoaching.com/glow. Message me. I'm here for you. I do free discovery calls. I do 90-minute intensives if the program isn't feeling right for you. And I do one-on-one coaching. So if you're all of this made sense, this is me, I need to get my shit together, I want to kick the self-sabotage, I'm here for you. I see you. I'm sending you so much love. Mwah. Thank you guys for being here. I hope this resonated. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, guys.